All right, MMA Maniacs, it's time once again for your weekly installment of Split Decision, your MMA podcast brought to you weekly from the Ruloff Family Inc. studios. Bueller and Dodge on the mics. I got it right this time.
Woo! Yeah!
So
it's Friday.
Turn over a little thing and says, without accidents, one day.
One day.
One podcast. One podcast.
Get us on Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, also on iTunes, where it will automatically update if you have a subscription. Of course, our official website, which is splitdecisionmma.com. Facebook is Split Decision MMA Podcast. Twitter and Instagram, SD_MMA. So, let's go ahead and jump off with some news. We got a Fight Pass card we got to look at. We got some Ultimate Fighter news we got to talk about. I mean, it's
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there was UFC, I think, last weekend.
Yeah, along with Bellator and Invicta.
Yeah, crazy days. So let's go ahead and jump off with the fight going on.
Don't you have to say, brother, now when you say Bellator?
Brother.
We watch Bellator, brother.
I think so. It'll work.
Ridiculous weekend of Bellator.
We'll get to that. Don't worry.
And Tito Ortiz and his fake ass.
Too.
I'm sorry, but
we're going to jump off with Access TV and Ben Askren having an interview with Boss Rutan and what's the guy's name?
Kenny Rice.
Kenny Rice, thank you.
Yeah, so they have the show Inside MMA, big show on Access TV. They were interviewing Ben Askren. Now, a lot of the clip that's getting floated around is kind of mid-interview. But basically, They cut him off because he was going on a tirade about how much he dislikes the UFC and Dana White, but still thinks he can make a career outside of the UFC. When they were asking him, don't you want to prove that you're the best in the world? And if you ask, we're not saying, but if you ask anybody, they're going to say the best fighters in the UFC, especially at your weight class.
To
be able to prove you are the best in the world, you have to go there.
Yeah, the best footballers are in the NFL, the best baseball players are in MLB, the best soccer players are in Major League Soccer.
Exactly, they're talking, the best guys, this is where they're at. I mean, all the guys from Strikeforce are now
Is
there.
that right? Is it World Cup Soccer? Major League Soccer?
We do have Major League Soccer, but there also is
There's
Premier League
Olympic.
and Barclays and.
Okay, well I don't know shit about soccer, but
Yes.
the bottom line is
Just skip past that one.
The best of the world usually go to one organization. I mean,
Yes.
if you look at this is, and I don't want to. I mean, we go on these monopoly conversations all the time, but there's plenty of football. There's Canadian football. There's arena football. There's all kinds of.
There's Canadian football.
But where do the best football players in the world go?
Right, where's
The
Ray Rice
NFL.
going to go now?
Yeah. Oh.
No?
Grand Theft Auto 6,
I
Mortal Kombat.
think he's a bonus character for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah, it's DLC. It's,
Oh, okay.
it's download content. You get Ray Rice, Ray Lewis, O.J. Simpson, Michael Vick.
Oh, and don't forget
Aaron
about
Hernandez.
Well, Aaron Hernandez, yeah. I was say that's the NFL pack, but aren't they doing like a Chris Brown add-on too?
Just his music.
Oh,
Just his music. You got to get the full surround sound. Yeah.
No, everybody still loves Chris Brown. He hosted the
Yeah.
Grammys twice after that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, redid that song "Smack My Bitch Up." Yeah.
Right. So basically, he got cut off. They basically cut him off. He thinks it was mid-interview. Boss Rutan has later come along on his Facebook and said that it was actually 5 to 6 minutes into the interview, and they had already been told to wrap it up. And he immediately jumped on Twitter and said, "Hey, Kenny Rice, you're man enough to debate, or you're going to be scared little UFC shill." And then he went directly to Mark Cuban and says, "I thought Inside MMA was an independent MMA news source. Better check how much Kenny Rice is taking from the UFC."
Said nothing to Boss, right?
Nothing to Boss.
Boss will thrust kick you through a wall.
Liver. Liver.
It's all twirly, bro.
The president of Access TV apologized, said, "I apologize for Inside MMA closing the mic. We respect your opinion. Look forward to having you back to continue the discussion."
Nope.
So Boss Rutan was basically saying, look, all we were saying is that the best guys in the world seem to be in the UFC. That's the popular opinion of most places. He even agreed to that, and said that I 100% agree with you, but let me continue about my disdain for the UFC and Dana White. So he kept jumping around the question.
Yeah.
I don't think it was really that unfair. I think Ben Askren's being a little bitch.
I kind of think he is too.
Just reading exactly from, again, watching the interview, reading what I saw on the Twitter, and then reading Boss's recount of everything, it seemed like he's just trying to keep his name in the mouths of everybody.
I think
to be honest, who's Ben Askren? Yes, he is a great wrestler / MMA fighter, who was in Bellator, had no competition, is now in ONE FC, has no real
Yeah,
competition.
he's the best in a.
He's ranked, I think, number 14
underclass
in the world.
Right.
Nothing wrong with ONE FC. Nothing wrong
No,
with Bellator.
actually, take that back. He's ranked number 8 in the world, according to the world rankings.
The world rankings. But there's nothing wrong with ONE FC. There's nothing wrong with Bellator.
But
they're
everybody else,
Canadian football. They're arena
yeah,
football.
everybody
So,
else in the top 10 is in the UFC. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. If you want to fight the best in the world, that's where you have to go.
Completely agree. I completely agree.
It is what it
And
is.
if he's going to sit here and, like, in the interview, if you watch the interview, he keeps dancing around. Kenny Rice asks him simply, if the UFC came to you right now,
Yeah.
would you sign and could you cut it? And he won't answer that question.
No.
Everybody's unhappy at the UFC. Motherfucker, the only place people aren't unhappy is Google. Because they got slides and nap pods and shit.
And I'm sure
And
you
they're
could
giving
still,
bites.
you
Yeah.
could still find one person who's like, this place sucks.
Only because someone probably stole his bike.
I almost stole one of those when I was in Davis.
I don't blame you.
I tried.
They got Google trackers on it, man.
I know. That's what I was afraid of. We have a fight being announced, UFC 181. We're going to have Brennan Schaub going up against Travis Brown. Travis Brown making his return to the UFC after an injury. What do you think about that fight?
Big Brown versus Brown.
Yeah, so we got Brown and Brown Cribe going on right here.
I don't know, man. I'm glad to see Travis Brown come back. You know, be able to do something in that division. That's cool. Schaub for me.
I mean, he had that tough loss against Verdum, but other than that, he looked dominant up against Barnett. He looked dominant against Alistair Overeem.
yeah.
I'm afraid Brendan Schaub's going to get murdered.
Yeah, Schaub just lost to Arlovsky, right?
Yeah.
Schaub is such a
In what he calls a robbery, by the way.
he's such a difficult person. Like when you go all the way back to when we were first introduced to him, and he was 4-0 coming onto the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
And he made a name for himself in the Ultimate Fighter, finishing all of his fights in the house.
Yep.
And then he had the unfortunate draw to have to fight Roy Nelson in the final, which Roy Nelson should have never even been on that season.
Right.
That was like freak show season. It didn't make any sense. Roy Nelson should have been signed to the UFC, but Dana White wanted to make a point by putting him on the Ultimate Fighter, which
Right.
was kind of bullshit. And honestly, Brendan Schaub should have been the Ultimate Fighter champ. With that being said, though, he still got knocked out by Roy Nelson,
Roy Nelson.
which means he would have got knocked out eventually anyway.
Yep.
And then he got beat by Arlovsky. He's such a roller coaster of a fighter because he's got amazing punching power. He's got good wrestling. He's big, but his chin is questionable.
Very
and Travis
questionable.
Brown hits fucking hard.
Yeah. We have a GSP's trainer says that he thinks he could be back next year. He says he's going to have to wait until after his birthday when he turns 34. Now his birthday is May next year, so they said they're going to have to wait. They're talking late 2015, possibly 2016. Dana White has already said he will get an immediate title shot if he decides to come back. How do you feel about that, getting an immediate title shot after coming back? I mean, he did technically semi-retire as the
Relinquished
champion.
His title, yeah.
As a champion, he didn't lose his belt. He retired on top. He's got a shit ton of money. He wants to take time off. Do you think he deserves a title shot immediately coming back?
I don't think it's good for them, personally.
For who?
I've said it. The fighter who wants to come back after not fighting anybody.
I think.
No.
Well, Dana
To
White
fight
said
the
it would be up
number
to him.
one.
If he wants a fight first and then the title shot, they'll do that. If
Right.
he wants an immediate title shot, they'll do that. They'll do whatever.
This is money for
when he's
Dana.
ready to come back.
That's why he's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'll give him an immediate title shot because everybody will pay for that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Who's going to be the champion at that point in time? Who knows?
Who knows?
But the number one contender is going to be pissed about it.
Yeah.
GSP, they were talking last
But do
night.
you think he deserves it coming back immediately?
It's kind of hard for me to say, because I mean, when he left on top. But
Yeah.
if he's going to be gone for over a year, then probably not. Probably needs to show that he doesn't have that much ring rust before he gets his head knocked off by the champ.
Yeah, or how about like number one? How do you
Give him the
think
number
he
one
feels?
contender?
No, I'm thinking, how do you the
whoever's
champion
the
at
number-
time
yeah.
feels? He's like, what do you mean? I just got here. Yeah, now here you got to go against GSP.
Yeah, go against the greatest in the
Yeah.
world.
Welterweight. Yeah.
Well, at least at one point, greatest in the world. I mean, they're saying, is he going to be too old when he comes back? Man,
Right.
Randy Couture was doing fine in his 40s.
Right.
So I think GSP will be all right. If he got all of the issues worked out, comes back, he could.
And
be
of course,
solid.
he's saying that he won't come back to unless the stringent drug testing is implemented, which
Which
they're
is-
saying is
they're
going to be at the end of this
already-
year.
yeah, it's
anyway.
already working
I mean,
in.
that's Mark Ratner from the UFC has already said that.
Yeah.
So
It's a long process, apparently.
there's a lot of things hurdles they have to
Yeah.
jump over,
a lot of signatures, a lot of red tape.
Yeah.
The legality thing is the big thing. Because,
especially in these other countries.
well, yeah,
lot of
because
cheddar.
the whole dropping in and testing thing, because the whole Shale Sonnen and Wanderlei thing brought up a good point. How do you hold these guys to anything if, one, they're not really even under license with the people who were testing them at the time? There was too many loopholes. So now they've got to figure out a way to where it's legal. They have to do it, and once they get that worked
Well,
out.
they're probably going to put in their contract policy where if you're contracted with the UFC, then we can drug test you anytime. I don't care. If
Right.
you're out
I think
injured,
that's what definitely needs to happen. And that's, I mean, if you want to go, we can go to that story right now. Basically, the attorney for Wanderlei Silva is saying that, if you look at what was being said, if you look at the actual wording, it said that, it doesn't matter, that there's no way that they can test him because he was not a licensee. He was not licensed at the time. He had not signed the bout agreement. He wasn't under contract. There's no way you can get a guy and test a guy who is not a licensee. And it's not fair that they're trying to pursue him. There's no way, and they're going to make this argument in court.
Which I understand that argument if that's how it's written, and that's their
Right.
fault. But at any other company, where we all work, I mean, we're all at will employment essentially, and,
Right.
And pretty much a lot of the companies in this country, it's like, well, you're subjected to random drug tests.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're not a union either, so.
No, and that's the thing is I think the UFC will change their policy, and it will become you're an at-will employee that you're either going to take this drug test or you're fired.
Right. Exactly.
Flat out.
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, I don't either.
but getting all the ins and outs worked out.
Right.
I'm probably gonna
Getting
do
all the
more
guys to sign, too. I mean,
Right.
we saw the thing where
They're all just going to quit and go to ONE FC.
there was guys that didn't want to sign their likeness over for toys. Remember the whole, what was it? There was a whole team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was guys that didn't want to be in the video game.
Yeah, didn't want to be in the video game. They're like, no, you're going to be in it. Like, we're putting you in it.
Well, yeah, and that's when they changed the UFC contracts. Once you sign the contract, they own
your likeness.
Right.
For video games and marketing and whatever, yeah.
So, I mean, that was, not to jump all the way back to that issue, but that was kind of questionable for me. Like, I didn't quite understand, like, if I want to make money off myself, why can't I make money off myself? Why is the UFC getting exclusive rights to my likeness?
I think it was to the point where they were saying, we're going to make the money off of selling these toys, and these guys were like, no, you can't make money off my toy. I'm going to go get my own deal for toys. It's like...
Which is dumb also, but
Yeah.
but didn't they have to come to an agreement where there was a percentage that went to the
Yeah.
fighters for it? I mean,
Yeah.
I would assume so, but I think the original agreement was like, no, we just own your face.
We own your face. And your tattoos.
And your tattoos.
And then tattoo artists freaked out everywhere.
That's a whole different fucking story. That's
Yeah.
a huge
Remember
can
that?
of worms. Yeah, I don't understand that tattoo artists own the ink that they put on somebody else's body.
Yeah, no, it's mine.
I personally, I can't get my head around that.
Well, personally, I don't think any of your tattoo artists want to claim yours because you have really shitty homemade
one's
tattoos.
nice.
That one's good. And those ones are nice. Those ones are nice. Okay.
Oh yeah, those are okay. Yeah, the majority of them, the majority of them wouldn't get allowed in a video game anyway.
For people who can't see us, it's just arms and chest.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else.
Yeah, we're
This one nobody wants.
We're naked. In here. Yeah. I think that the graphics are so good now they couldn't make the tattoos look shitty enough to be realistic. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
your tattoos look badass on a video game. So that's what they were going for.
They finished them for me. Awesome.
Holy shit. Go ahead.
Joe Rogan was recently on his podcast and he was talking to Mike Dolce about a number of
I
things.
don't like this either.
One of the big things he was talking about was popularity or the lack of popularity of Jon Jones.
Yeah.
Now, in the entire podcast, he said, I don't know why Jon is not more loved or popular than he is. He's like, I don't understand it. In my opinion, I will never miss a Jon Jones fucking pay-per-view. I've heard people say, oh, he's cocky, he's this, and I wonder what the fuck is going on. I'm going to throw this out here, and I'm probably going to get hate for it. I'm going to say, I wonder how much of it is racism. So he's basically saying because, and he goes on later in the podcast to basically say that he thinks that a lot of people dislike Jon Jones because he is a cocky young black man. And that it's guys that are just hating on him. And that if it was anybody else, and he gives the example of Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen was a white guy who was just as cocky and talked his way into a lot of fights, was way more successful as a promoter than Jon is. Not necessarily as an athlete, but way more as a promoter.
Huge difference. Huge difference between those two, and it has nothing to do with color.
Does he think it is because of race? He says, I just wonder. And that's all he threw out there. And then everybody immediately picked up the story and was like, Joe Rogan is saying that everyone is racist for not liking Jon Jones.
Yeah, and that's
and
the
he's
way
like,
it's been
whoa,
portrayed.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, that's not what I was saying. I was
Kind of,
just
though. That's what he
wondering.
was.
My thing is that with the Chael Sonnen example is a bad example because Chael Sonnen embraced being a heel. He loved it. Chael Sonnen did talk his way into fights, but you know what else he never did? Turn down a fight. We've had Jon Jones first off his two-face, which has been pointed out by Daniel Cormier, and I think a lot of the fans are starting to see it. He's fucking whiny. He is smug and cocky.
Yeah.
And he has almost two different personas, and he fucking dodged Gustafsson for how long?
Yeah.
For how fucking long before you finally went, okay, I'll fight him. So this shit Chael Sonnen never, ever did. So comparing those two on their cockiness, two completely different kinds of cocky.
And Sonnen, you were like, you knew he was trying to be ridiculous. You were just like, there's no way this guy walks around acting like that all the time.
And for the record, I didn't like Sonnen either.
Right, it didn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. But like again, the smugness really turns a lot of people off.
Yeah.
The whining.
And I think, and again,
That's what
he
kills
brings
me
up
the
he
most.
brings up the issue with Cormier, and he's saying, I think Cormier is definitely battling him the right way, saying, dude, you're so fake. You're not like this.
Yeah.
As
Plus, Cormier gets his face every is it every day now, or is it just the weekends he's on Fox?
Oh yeah, where he's on Inside the UFC or the show that's on Fox Sports.
So I
1,
mean,
yeah.
so he's got a group of people that tune in every week to see him now.
Yeah, I mean, Chael Sonnen used that though to a huge
and that's
platform.
why it bit him
Every
in the
time
ass.
He was calling out Vanderlei Silva.
Yeah,
remember?
that's why it bit him in the ass.
This commercial is going to be faster than Vanderlei Silva's career or something like that. Every time he would come up with some little thing to.
I'm just curious. Do we not like Daniel Cormier because he's black?
I like Daniel.
So do I. So I don't understand.
Well, Anderson Silva was. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he's black.
Yeah,
Brazilian, sir.
he was
it doesn't
doing,
matter.
And the thing is when he got cocky, it did turn a lot of people off. When he was fighting well and destroying guys, they liked him. But when he was doing like the dancing thing,
Yeah.
people even like, especially the Abu Dhabi fight, everyone got pissed and was like, "Cocky motherfucker, fuck that guy." I don't
That's
even.
true.
He's being an asshole. Like I don't like guys when they fight like that. Why didn't he finish him?
Yeah, there was a good 3-4 fight streak.
And
where
then when
people
he
were,
did
you
it
know,
in front of Weidman and he got beat, everyone was like, "That's what you get for being cocky."
Right. Bisping.
Bisping, yeah.
For a long time, I fucking hated his guts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But lately,
And then when Dan Henderson knocked him the fuck out, that's what you get for being cocky.
You know, that's a teaspoon of humbleness right there. Just a teaspoon.
don't ever want that teaspoon of humbleness.
Yeah. We can talk about the Luke thing. Him and Luke Rockhold.
Oh, yeah, I got that coming up. So just going further into some of the things that Joe Rogan and Mike Dolce were talking about, they talked about basically Dolce wanted to get his side of what happened with BJ Penn, since BJ Penn went later and said that he would never hire Mike Dolce again. Said that he paid $20,000 to the Mike Dolce charity fund.
I wish BJ would just keep it. Just walk
shut
away,
up, dude.
and just stop.
Just shut up. Now, Dolce says he had very little influence on what was going on. He said it was very, very strange. He showed up to Hawaii when they first announced it. He said that they put everything together. He said, and when they were filming The Ultimate Fighter is when he started with him, and he was weighing in the low 160s. No big deal. He says he didn't hear anything until the end of May, which is a few weeks before the fight, and they were kind of in crisis because they wanted to make sure that he could make weight. They got to be a part of the team June 9th, less than a month before the fight. He says, when I get there, BJ says, I weigh 157 pounds. I went out with Dominic Cruz last night. I had a bunch of pizza. I still weigh 157. I'm fine. And he goes, okay, if you only have 10 pounds, what do you need me for? Like, but I'll do what I can do, you know? And so he says he basically cooked for him all that he could. He tried to get input. He said it was one of the oddest training camps he's ever been a part of. He was there for less than 2 weeks physically in Hawaii. I had very little influence. I made some strong suggestions and very strong observations to members of the team, which is what I'm accustomed to, but I thought would benefit him. But the suggestions I made them officially, and they were accepted but not responded or reacted to. It was a matter of the direction that he chose to go into. He's either going to go in and win and look like a fucking genius, or go in there and not win, and he's going to make the odds makers look like geniuses. And we saw what happened.
He stood in front of somebody and got punched a lot.
So Dolce didn't tell him to just stand there.
No, not at all.
Rigid.
He said he was
like a Pez dispenser.
He said it was weird. He said he only trained once a day and not quite every day. He said it was
he took a fall, man.
I don't know. He's like, there was no coaches that were able to make any difference. No one was saying. He's like, I don't think he was training enough. They started questioning Dolce's dieting methods and eating methods, and he says,
I bet it was something Dolce fed him that whole time that made him too lazy to train and stand up straight in the ring and get punched in the face.
That's what it was.
Probably gave him some bad sushi or something.
But he made it down to weight, and he says it's just very strange. He says, if you want, I'll give the money back. If you're really that irate about it, I'll give the money. He's like, I'm a professional. I know what I do is right.
It's been proven time and time again.
It's
I don't
not
know.
me, it's you. You need to figure
and I'm
this shit
wondering
out.
how much maybe BJ was on the phone with Dana and he was like, I'm just having problems with diets. He's like, you want me to send you Dolce?
Yeah.
You want me to send you Dolce?
He sent you the wolf. He should be coming directly.
Yeah.
So we have Super Fight League. Woo! Remember Super Fight League?
No.
You don't remember Super Fight League? It's in Asia.
Wait, isn't that I thought that was the Indian one.
Yeah, down and they.
I remember it now. Okay, I remember.
Indonesia,
Yeah. Oh my God,
yeah.
their promos were awesome.
Yeah, Super Fight League is coming to the United States.
They're
having their first ever United States card. October 4th. It's going to be at the Emerald Queen Casino in Tacoma, Washington.
Tell me they did a crazy promo.
No, it's actually really lame.
Weak. Oh well.
Yeah. So, so if you're interested in obscure MMA, check out
Super
Fight League
35.
35.
Bitchin' banjo solo.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet there.
I like that.
Sean O'Hare, I don't know if you'll ever remember him, but Sean O'Hare was a kickboxer, pro
Got knocked
wrestler,
out by,
mixed martial arts by
Butterbean.
Butterbean. Knocked the fuck out by Butterbean. He passed.
Wasn't that his MMA debut?
I don't know if it was his debut.
Or did he have? Maybe he only had 4 fights. He had 4 fights. That's what it was. He had 4 fights under his belt, and he went in against Butterbean in their U.S. show in Las Vegas and got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, he recently passed away.
Yeah, he had a gym. He ran a gym and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier today. Very sad, unfortunate.
Let's see if we can find his
But wrestlers have that hard life, man.
career here.
Just contact sports in general have that career, you know?
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, he was total of 4-2 in MMA. He fought in Pride. That was the big one where he got knocked out by Butterbean. Pride 32 when they came to the United States. Right? Yeah, 2 fights, three fights before that where he had lost one of them.
Crazy.
So, very sad. John O'Hare.
That's what Butterbean's real name is? I had no idea.
Eric Esch.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dana White recently talking about Alistair Overeem, which we'll get into that fight here in a moment, says they're going to give him another fight because he is still ranked in the top 10. He will not be getting his pink slip right away.
Probably because he's still got another fight under contract.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
But I think he needs to go away. We'll get into that fight here in a few minutes. And I'm a huge Overeem fan.
Yeah.
And I think he's done.
Yeah. You sent me a sad text. I was still 30 minutes behind the pay-per-view. I got to catch up. Fast forward.
Michael Bisping and Luke Rockhold are going to be fighting in Australia November 8th at Ultimate Fight Night 55 live on Fight Pass. It's actually a pretty good card. It looks like it's a current turnout. So we got Hector Lombard against somebody. We don't know yet. He's going to be on that card. Clint Hester, Robert Whittaker. Anyway, they met for a media thing and had a little bit of a scuffle, a little bit of words exchanged back and forth.
As you would expect.
I put this on our Facebook. It was pretty funny. It starts basically them questioning each other who they've knocked out. Who have you knocked out?
And neither one of them.
Out?
Many.
I've knocked out many.
He hasn't knocked out anybody since he got in the UFC.
And
Right.
Luke just said a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
It went many,
he's
a
like-
lot, many, a lot.
He's like, well, Costas Philippou. He's like, that was TKO. That was kicks. That
Yeah.
was a TKO. That was body kick. That wasn't a knockout.
Yeah.
He's
Who
all
you knocked
flipping
out? Your girlfriend.
Yeah.
He said some shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, they just go. It was great. If you fucking come near me,
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Boy,
that's how it started. Yeah.
boy.
You fucking come close to me, I will knock you out. And he said, who did you ever knock out?
Knock
Your
anybody
boy
out.
last weekend.
Yeah. Your boy last weekend. That was great. So check that out on the Facebook. Another fight that's coming up soon, quite possibly in Brazil. I don't really like this fight. This is talking about in December. Lyoto Machida against CB Dollaway.
It's a huge step up for CB Dollaway.
Huge step over CB
I didn't know they
Dollaway.
were in the same weight class. For some reason, I didn't realize that. I thought CB Dollaway was lighter than that.
Yeah, I thought he was welterweight too, but no, he's middleweight.
Wow. All right.
Any thoughts on this fight? I mean, yeah, he's on a 4-fight win streak.
Machida's on his way out.
No. Machida could fight for a title.
Could he, though?
He just did.
We've seen him fight so many times for
He just did. He lost, and he lost the decision.
Yeah, so we've seen him fight a lot at the top.
Yeah.
CB Dollaway on a 4-fight
I'd
win
like to see
streak.
him fight Jacare.
Really?
Yeah.
Machida?
Yep.
That'd be a good fight, but it wouldn't really
Be a
do
good
much
fight.
for Jacare.
No. I think Jacare needs it. Or I'd like to see him fight Vitor.
I'd watch that.
All right.
I'd definitely watch that
There you
fight.
go. Bigfoot Silva is going to have surgery because he can't have TRT. We know Bigfoot Silva has what is algomelgia,
Gigantism.
which is gigantism.
Are they going to take out his pituitary?
They're saying he has a cyst that presses on his pituitary gland that overproduces growth
I should be a
hormone
fucking doctor.
and completely unbalances the rest of his
should be.
hormones. This is my favorite part of the whole story. His coach, when I first started managing him, he was actually lactating.
Okay.
Why you got to put that out there?
Seriously, it makes you kind of a dick.
Why you got to put that out there? He has extremely low testosterone, and he needs to be
When
on
I first started
TRT.
managing him, he was impotent.
Right? Like,
This
he-
guy had bitch tits like nobody. Telling you.
he needs TRT to live. It's not fair that he's going to have this surgery, and the only way to access it is under the nose. They have to go underneath the brain to access and take out the cyst. I don't think it's. He basically says I don't think it's fair that because some guys were misusing it, it's ridiculous. He needs this. He needs it to be at a normal level. He deserves it, and he should be able to use the same level as a normal human being. Basically, we've got to stop the lactation. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
That's
so
weird,
that's not going to be
because
happening.
You would think that he got to be where he is from too much testosterone, not from lack of testosterone.
Right? That's what I think too.
Or maybe he just
but
burned it out.
I guess
That's what it is.
It's very strange. Very strange.
So all I need to lactate is a tumor on my pituitary?
Yes.
All right.
There you go. Junior Dos Santos is talking about he is ready to come back. He says he's almost 100%, not 100% yet, but almost 100%, and he wants a fight with Ben Rothwell. He's okay with that fight. He does not necessarily want to fight Alistair Overeem, which he'd previously said that he thought that would be the next match for him. I think, obviously, Alistair Overeem kind of on the downward slope.
Yeah.
He says if the UFC wants to book him for that fight, he'll take it, but he thinks that Ben Rothwell is a more interesting matchup for him.
I think Ben Rothwell is a more interesting matchup for him, and he would knock Overeem the fuck out at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Junior
Everybody's
Dos
going to knock
Yeah.
Overeem out.
Yeah.
They're going to start making the blow-up Overeem with the sandbag in the bottom.
I love Alistair Overeem, but he's never had the best chin. And we saw that in Pride. We saw that in kickboxing.
But when he became Ubereem, he didn't lose, though.
He didn't lose. But
Until he
doesn't
got to
mean,
the UFC.
Doesn't mean he didn't still have that chin. He was just able to protect it a little better.
Yeah, I
and he
guess
was
so.
able to strike a little faster and hit guys a little harder before they could hit him.
And that neck was holding the head a little bit tighter.
Yeah, horse meat. UFC has reached a settlement with Steven Messina, one of the greatest pirates for the UFC events known around the world. Basically, was getting sued. He has now issued an apology, and he's going to have to pay the price. Basically, they haven't said the exact numbers yet, but they said he did have over 200 hours of UFC broadcast in his library.
Now, did he distribute it for profit?
No,
That sucks. You didn't make
But
no
it's
damn
illegal.
money. Now you got to pay a fine.
Yep.
Shit.
illegally distributing copyrighted material, sir.
Maybe the Pirate Bay will help him out.
It's for serious. They're under investigation.
There's
as it is,
commercials,
man.
but there's commercials all around
Kim.com got all this shit
those
back?
download places.
Oh, you can find it. I mean, just like the fappening. I wanted to see all that stuff, but I wasn't about to download it. I don't want to fucking end up in jail.
Right.
Download the whole thing. It's really easy.
I'm not getting. You give it to me, I'll buy it off you, but I'm not going to download it to my computer.
All right.
I have my ISP traced.
Careful asking for naked pictures again, man. I thought you learned last time.
So very strange news coming out of this whole domestic violence issue that's going around, obviously with the Ray Rice thing. Thiago Silva, we talked about it. All of his charges were dropped
Right.
because basically his wife fled back to Brazil.
They assume
Fled back to Brazil.
They
Quotes.
assume.
She went. Okay, how about she went back to Brazil? Is that better?
How about she disappeared?
Let's do quoties. Can we do quoties, please?
Quoties. Not that anybody can see them, but I'm quoties. Dana White recently went on Fox Sports 1 and even announced this, that he is now back in the UFC. He is going to give him his full contract back because all charges had been dropped. The victim was uncooperative, blah, blah, blah. He basically said, look, when this thing went down, I said he'd never fight in the UFC again. I watched it unfold on TV. I heard all the charges, said this doesn't look good. He was acquitted of all charges. How can you not let this guy fight again? He went through the legal process, came out untainted. He deserves to be able to make a living again. He's back under contract.
So why don't they say the same thing about Ray Rice? He's been through the legal system.
That's what they are. The football players are saying that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Roger Goodell is the one who's trying to backpedal like a motherfucker.
Yeah. I didn't see that tape. I don't know what you're talking about. I never got that tape until later.
This is your signature on this FedEx receipt right here.
Right?
Don't know, when I got to sign for a package, I throw it right in the trash.
Yeah. So, and a lot of MMA websites are coming out now saying that this is a bunch of bullshit. That they should not allow Thiago Silva to get back in because his wife fled to Brazil. Quoties. She is fucking hiding from him, and of course she's not going to come back. She doesn't want to get beat up again.
I love that you believe that she's alive.
I like your cynicism. But you're probably right. I said last week, man, he put some marshmallows on her and threw into alligators.
Yeah.
Do you? I just think this is a bad time.
Look, it's not alleged that alligators like marshmallows.
Right.
They really like that shit.
Right. Our hypothesis of the situation.
I think it's I agree with a lot of people online right now. I think it's a bad time for the UFC to be letting him back in, especially with the whole Ray Rice thing going on.
We can get into a whole damn debate about that.
Oh yeah.
My biggest issue with this whole Ray Rice thing is Chris Brown.
Right? Chris
Really?
Brown.
Oh, and I love today they started a whole charge on Mayweather.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, like 3. I think it's Fox, CNN, and MSNBC. They're like, hey, by the way, aren't you convicted of doing this kind of thing?
How'd that work out for them when someone tried to mention things against Tyson?
Yeah.
We all saw that video floating around.
Great
Oh, yeah.
video.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of a dick move for that guy. I mean, it was.
Yeah, and now Rob Ford pulled out of the mayor race.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was awesome. He was a people's champ right there.
You're right.
Damn, what a bummer.
So we had a lot of events. Okay, first let's go over this, then we'll go over all the events that happened. just today.
Holy shit, I did not know this.
We have announced from the LodiNews.com. I have this on my phone here. Got the alert going on. UFC fighter Nick Diaz was arrested in Lodi 2:22 a.m. September 6th. We are just now finding out 6 days later. On suspicion of DUI, obstructing a police officer, destruction of evidence, and driving with a suspended license.
35 minutes from this studio.
Yes. He is scheduled to fight Anderson Silva January 31st.
Wait, what are the charges again?
We have suspicion of a DUI.
Okay, that's probably legit.
We have obstructing a police officer.
Overinflated.
Destruction of evidence.
Definitely overinflated.
And driving with a suspended license.
That's probably true. 2 of those charges, I almost guarantee you, are bullshit. We're just thrown in there to get him in more trouble.
Right.
And those 2, I could put money on the fact that those 2 charges are getting dropped.
UFC has announced, or they recently released a statement at the beginning of this podcast that said, "We are aware of the situation, are in the process of gathering facts. We understand that there is a legal process, and now they'll take place, and that Nick Diaz will have his opportunity to address the situation in the near future." So they still have, 3 months to clear him. And then, according to Dana White, as long as he goes through the legal process and he comes out on top, he can still fight.
Well, whatever. I'm telling, the obstruction of justice was probably, hey, get out of the car, and he went, no, there's obstruction of justice.
Yes.
And him destroying evidence was probably him throwing a bag of weed out the window.
Or just talking how he talks. Yeah.
I'll have nothing.
Like they
Can you
thought
get
he...
this bag of shrooms for me?
Yeah.
Because he's just... How he talks, He's like, what? I mean, you know how he talks.
I know how he talks.
Nah, man, just saying, man. I was just driving down the street, man. I was gonna go see my brother.
Why aren't you on your bike?
Because I have a triathlon in the morning. I was driving to my bike because it's at the starting line, and because they keep it there overnight to make sure that we don't put anything special on it, like a motor. So they have to investigate it. So we drive to it.
Can you get out while we do a breathalyzer on you?
No, I can't right now. But no, because I got to get to the triathlon.
There's obstruction of justice.
But what? Okay, but I'll get out then. I'll get out. Just let me. I'm gonna throw this beer can out the window.
And there's destruction of evidence.
Shit.
All right.
So we had a bunch of events go down. Do you think? First of all, before we get to those, do you think he's gonna be cleared of everything before his fight?
He's going to be clear of those 2 for sure. And the last one, which was driving a suspended license, they'll probably drop that just to get him on a wet and reckless.
So on a wet and reckless, do you think he's still gonna fight in January?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's too big.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if this was plead down to wet and reckless and he was just releasing his own recognizance.
Yeah, because they could put the whole thing off for a year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look at Mayweather. Over the weekend, we had a lot.
I'll go to jail when I want to go to jail, goddammit.
Yeah. I got a fight coming up. Leave me alone.
When I'm good and ready.
We have a lot of events that happened over the weekend. We had Invicta. Let's start with that. Invicta 8 was live on Fight Pass, except for the main event finish.
Oh, no.
Fight Pass cut out to a lot of people during the finish of the final main event and title fight.
How does Fight Pass cut out?
Michelle Watterson.
It's like you paid for a pay-per-view slot.
Server
Tamada.
went down.
Yeah,
Servers went down. Servers went down like crazy.
Yeah.
The UFC has decided to issue 10% off any UFC.tv pay-per-view stream for the error. So if you were logged in watching Fight Pass, they sent you this promo code, that allows you to watch any UFC pay-per-view on your computer only. You can't order it through your cable provider. You have to watch it on your computer. So maybe your Google dongle.
Say, maybe my Chromecast will work for that.
Yeah, there you go. But you weren't watching Invicta, so you won't get that 10% off.
Because I don't have Fight Pass because it doesn't work on my damn dongle.
It's a vicious loop.
Just keep it going.
We can't get out.
But we did have some the main events. We have Charmaine Tweet over Veronica Rosenhauser, Deanna Bennett over Michelle Ould, Roxanne Madafri over Tara LaRosa, unanimous
Wow,
decision.
that's a surprising one for me.
Tanya Evinger over Ediane Gomes. That's a surprising one to me as well.
Is that like Roxanne Madafri's first win since getting signed to the Ultimate Fighter cast?
Yes.
I don't know, but the odds were crazy.
Yeah. Tanya, let's see, Katia Kanakapaya over Stephanie Eggink. And then, of course, Michelle Watterson defending her belt up against Yatsuko Tamada, TKO, round 3, knees and punches. However, again, you might not have seen the finish.
Should have done it in round 1. Everybody would have saw it.
You can check it out. They're replaying it on Fight Pass. And then we had, let's see, what do we have going on? We had Bellator 123 and...
Bellator 123?
Yeah, Bellator 123. Taking the best out of WWE. We'll get to that. We had Patricio Ferrari becoming the new featherweight champion against Pat Curran. Mo Law knocking out Dustin Jacoby. Tamden McCory, the Barn Cat, is back, taking out Brendan
right on.
Ward. Bobby Lashley making his debut, submission rear naked choke Josh Burns in the second, and Chet Congo defeating LeVar Johnson, showing that he still can do things besides punch people. He submitted him with a rear naked choke, round 1, 3 minutes 27 seconds. Huge.
Who, Big Bobby Lashley? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's Chet Congo. Chet Congo got a submission win, sir,
What?
over LeVar Johnson.
LeVar Big Johnson, because all LeVar Big Johnson can do is punch people in the face. True. So you got to do something else.
And then we had quite possibly one of the weirdest promos ever. Did you watch this?
No. Where'd
my-
this even come from?
Really?
You haven't seen this?
You haven't seen this.
Oh.
Viacom deciding to block it.
Oh.
We had quite possibly one of the weirdest things ever to happen inside a cage. They brought in Tito Ortiz, and they brought in Stephan Bonner to talk about their upcoming fight, which is going to be November, I believe. And Bonner came in a suit, and with a guy in a suit that was wearing not one but 2 masks. He had a clear mask over his face, and then he had a big hood over his face, so you couldn't see who he was.
Ooh, okay.
And he basically talked a lot of trash to Tito.
Stole the microphone.
Stole the microphone. Talked a lot of trash about Tito and said...
The guy in the mask did?
No. Bonner.
Bonner.
And said, I'm going to reveal someone to you from your past, someone who you screwed over, someone who hates you, someone who's now going to help me train for you, your best friend, former training partner. Ta-da! Pulled the mask off. Nobody knew who the fuck he was.
Oh, no.
Nobody
Collectively, I heard 100 million people go, who the fuck? Nah, it's Bellator. I heard 35 people. So, who the fuck is this guy?
And who was the guy under the mask? This guy!
Justin McCauley.
Justin McCauley, Tito's former training partner, best friend, and gym owner.
He had cornrows.
He had cornrows and a
pretty
weird,
awesome.
weird thing on his face.
It's called his ear. It's really messed up.
Now, Justin McCauley is a MMA fighter in his own right. He has 11 wins and 5 losses. He never quite made it to the big league. I mean, he did fight in the UFC, but never quite made a big splash.
Yeah.
He was just all right.
I remember him vaguely.
He says that Tito basically...
Oh, his last fight was in Rim Fata.
Yeah. He says that Tito stole money from him, never gave him money for anything, never did anything. They were building a gym, they were building a team together, but it became all about Tito, and so he finally had to walk away. I mean, it was pretty WWE-ish. And then they had a brawl, they pushed each other, they had to get separated.
It's like Dana White took the Vince McMahon model to use for the UFC in a positive way, and it's like Bellator is taking all the shit that Dana White was like, I'm not going to do that. And
Oh, yeah.
Like, we are.
Well, okay, what MMA fighter in Bellator gets the tennis racket? Who's going to get the snake? Who's going to come in and eat?
Are we going to have a TLC match
Yeah,
in Bellator? I would love that.
I'm just saying.
I would love to see that.
A TLC match in an,
I mean,
in an MMA fight?
again,
Somebody would die.
I thought, and I still have hopes, and I still think it could happen, that we were going to see our Rampage versus King Mo in a Bellator cage, in a boxing ring, and in a TNA wrestling match. Because that's what they were going for at one time. They had him do run-ins. They were talking about all these matches that they were going to book. It still could happen.
It still could happen.
Still could happen.
How much did you pay for that?
I think we said
Tens of dollars.
Yeah,
I would pay.
tens of dollars. I think it was
$10.
$9.99 on
Yeah.
a pay-per-view stream, possibly on the internet. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
sit in front of the TV.
I don't even care if it was live.
Right?
No, of course not. I'd want to TiVo it so I could, fast forward.
Do it in the studio. Use some stunt doubles.
Yeah, it'd be good.
I don't need stunt doubles. I want it to be all them, but I want to be able to DVR it so when they're switching rings, I can fast forward that bullshit.
Yeah. I don't think
Unless-
it
as
wasn't
they're
going to be all
switching-
on the same night. I think it was just going to be spread out.
No, it has to be on the same night, and then when they're switching rings, they could fight outside of the ring with the chairs.
Well, I think what was
no,
going
wait.
to happen is they were going to do it separate nights, but then they would edit it together on the DVD, so you got the whole package
Perfect.
as the thing, and there'd be commentary in
And
between.
then you could pick which scene you wanted to watch.
Yeah.
On the Joes versus Pros, did they do all that shit all in one day?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Most of it. Maybe
You think
2. I
so?
think it was over 2 days.
Because that's the same setup. Like you said, you just do them all in one day.
Yeah, it'd be pretty interesting.
I missed that show. That was a good show.
We also have Ultimate Fight Night. What is this? 50. Ultimate Fight Night 50 was live on Fox Sports 1. We had your main card, Joe Lauzon over Michael Chesia.
Who is
TKO.
not happy.
Doctor stoppage in round 2 due to a cut. Yeah, Chesia. Now they got fight of the night.
He had
So
a
this
hole
makes Joe.
in his face.
This makes Joe Lauzon now the winningest guy in the UFC ever for bonuses.
For bonuses, yeah.
Yes, he's going to be the first UFC billionaire. It's going to happen. He Basically, Chezia says it's not fair. He's upset. He said, it was a decent cut, but I've seen worse. I've seen other fights go on with worse cuts. It's this is the hurt business. I know it's bad, but I would give back the 50,000 bonus to be able to fight the rest of the night
and lose.
And Joe Lauzon said, rematches are stupid. Man up, get over it. I've never asked for a rematch in my life. I've lost fights. It fucking happens. Move on. And he even said, point in case. Oh, and of course, Shockwave. He posted up the scorecard from round 1 where Chezia lost 10-9 across the board. And he goes, you were already losing. You were going to continue losing. I was going to win this fight.
I agree with that.
Yep.
And I definitely do. And then Chezia was like, oh, yeah, well, I'll send you a picture of me elbowing you. That was his response.
He's covered in your blood, though, Chezia.
Yeah. And Lauzon said, all right, fine. You give me that $50K that you won, we'll fight again.
Really?
That's what he said.
And he's going to do it?
Otherwise, I don't give a shit about the rematch. We don't need a rematch.
Yeah.
Get over it.
They're not at title positions. So
No,
just
get
move the
over
fuck
it,
on.
dude.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time that Chezia's bitched about that he lost and wanted a rematch.
But I'm just saying, you know how long this whole process would take if everybody got a rematch
Right.
in every fight?
I like Lauzon. I lost. I learned from it. I get over
Yeah,
it.
move the fuck on.
I don't want a rematch.
If there comes a point in time where they got to fight again, then he gets his rematch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then we had Matt Metrione over Derek Lewis, knockout 41 seconds in the first
Dude,
round.
I did not see that coming. I thought it was going to be the other way around.
I so
dude.
did as well.
Holy crap. I don't even know
Meathead
what
showing
to
he
say
could
about-
still throw punches, man.
Yeah, I don't know even what to say about Meathead at this point. It's crazy to me.
Where do you rank him?
Matt Mitrione? I don't know, dude. I really don't even know where to put him.
I know it wasn't a lot of time, but he kind of came out with a different style. I know it's hard to say in 41 seconds.
Yeah,
but-
could you really say that? Can you really say that?
You know what it reminds me of? Cabbage.
A little bit?
Yeah. It kinda
Head's
reminds me
full of
Cabbage.
concrete and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think about when I look at Matt Mitrione. Head's full of concrete and stuff. I don't know.
Matt Metrione is not in the top 15.
Not in that 15.
Not in the top 15. Guys over Matt Meathead Mitrione is Big Nog, Arlovsky, Struve, Gonzaga, Mir, Overeem, and then Rothwell, Nelson, Hunt. And we'll move on from there. Guys who deserve to be in there. But
Surprises me is Gonzaga, Struve, and Nogueira. Surprises me that they're over.
But you're not surprised Arlovsky's back in there? It's because you like Nogueira.
Because what, he had a 6-fight win streak before he came back to the UFC, and he won when he came back.
All right.
Was it 7 in a
We'll see
row?
what happens tomorrow.
We'll see. We have
I won't, because I don't have a fucking fight pass.
Ben Rothwell over Alistair Overeem, 2 minutes 19 seconds, TKO punches. Yeah, Overeem is done.
Yeah, you text me.
He's gonna go make the rest of his career in ONE FC because Japan loves him, where he can eat all the horse meat he wants.
Yeah, but he's got one more fight here, right?
I think so. Yeah.
He's got one more fight here, and then he's going to go open a horse farm.
Yeah. Unless he can do really well in his next fight, I think he's done in the UFC.
But he's still a name, he's still a draw, and he'll still make money other
Yep.
places.
Especially ONE FC again, where Japan loves him and he can eat horses. Jacare over Musashi.
You said horses, right?
Horses.
I was yawning. It sounded like you said
Multiple
dwarves.
horses. Yeah, he probably eats dwarves.
Dwarf horses.
Those are snacks. It's bite sized. Jacare over Musashi. Guillotine, and a crazy guillotine at that.
Oof.
4 minutes, 30 seconds into the third round.
Dude, Jacare looks amazing.
Where does Jacare go from here? Title shot?
Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He says he's ready if Vitor somehow drops out.
why
ready
the
to
hell
go.
Yeah,
not?
that's the smart. I read that too, where he said, "I'm just going to continue to work out,
Yep.
act like I'm in camp,
Yep.
and hope that something happens." And the way that things have been going, that's a smart thing to do.
Yep.
Yeah, because Vitor won't make that fight.
Dana, if you're listening, this is a good thing. Have an understudy in every weight class, just sitting.
Ready to go. So you don't have Joe Soto come
I like
up
the
again.
understudy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have Joe Soto happen again.
No shit. Jeez.
You know, Oswenko was like, I was ready. I was in Brazil, but I was ready.
Right.
I would have flown up there and had no sleep.
And possibly not made weight.
Yeah. For our area, I was glad for Soto. but-
Yes.
Right.
We have the Ultimate Fighter. A champion will be crowned. The new season, Ultimate Fighter 20. First of all, can I say this, the colors they picked for the teams are the dumbest fucking colors ever? It's hard telling them apart when you have, it's teal and lime green and purple and lime green. Who's on which team?
I don't have a problem telling them apart, so I mean,
I have a problem telling them apart. I don't like it.
you need to get your fucking eyes checked.
Especially when they're all wearing teal, or all wearing the lime green with the opposite
Okay,
color.
when they're all wearing the lime green, yes.
Right?
Okay.
That's the part where I'm
When
like,
they're wearing
wait,
the- yeah.
is that teal in that lime green, or is that
Did they
purple in that
mention
lime
teal,
green?
or are you just bringing up teal?
No, it's teal.
They said teal? Or that's
It's
your
only
choice?
official. If you
That's
go to
your choice
if you
of
go to
color?
UFC.com,
You just choose to bring up the
listen.
word teal?
If you go to UFC.com and go to the shop and try to buy a jersey, it says your options are teal
Okay.
and purple.
All right.
Because I wanted to check today what colors they were, just to
make sure.
just to bitch about them.
Yeah, I don't have any problems when the teal or the purple is the heavier color, but when the green is the heavier color, then yeah, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
So this is actually really crazy the way we're doing this season.
Crazy. So all the girls showed up there. They seeded them all. So you have 1 through 15. 16. 1 through 16, all seeded like a March Madness style bracket.
Exactly.
And it's going to happen 1 against 16, 3 against 14, 2 against 15, and so on.
So I tried to explain it, but I was watching with Caitlin, so it's like a March Madness bracket. It's like
A what?
yeah.
It was too hard for her to accept.
It's just like she doesn't watch sports, so I mean it's not baseball or football. So
Gil Melendez said he didn't like it after he's done interviews recently where he said he didn't really like the situation because he wasn't able to pick people he thought.
I kind of dig it.
Obviously, he wasn't able to pick fights that he was going to push his team. But I like, and again, Dana White said this, and I agree with him. How else could you fucking do this season when somebody's going to be a champion?
Yeah.
Clown shoes.
And we bought everybody's contract from Invicta. You kind of have to use rankings.
That makes sense to me. I see what Pettis is saying, because obviously if you pick your Melendez.
Yeah.
If you pick your entire team, you can look at the weaker links on their team and
Right.
try to match it up like that. I get that. I understand that. But I like this style.
I
It's
like the
very
style too.
interesting.
I very do.
I
very
like the difference. I mean, it kind of freshens up the show a little bit, and I find it entertaining. I love that like the last pick was actually ranked number 5.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy to me. Like why did we know they were going to do this beforehand?
No.
Damn it! We
They
should
didn't tell anybody.
Let's fill out our own brackets right now. Our March Madness brackets.
Yeah, good luck.
All right.
The one thing I thought was hilarious is, okay, so we saw the whole thing, and they decided that the first fight was going to be Tisa Torres, ranked 3, which is on Team Melendez, against Ronda Marcos, which is ranked 14,
Man,
Team Pettis.
they really did one of those things that I hate they do, because it's like you don't know which way they're going with it, where they overhype a fighter, but it could go either way. They're overhyping that fighter because that fighter's actually going to win,
Yeah.
Or they're
that
done.
fighter's going to fucking lose
Right.
hard.
Or, if you just would have saw when they were putting up the brackets, and they accidentally put up the bracket where Ronda was already moved over and she'd won her fight. Yeah,
didn't see
they did that.
Really?
Yeah, they did that. So when you were watching the brackets and they were like, Team 1, Team 2, and they put the girl's name in. When they came up to 2, Joanne Calderwood against Amy Lee Kagan, which is 2 and 15, which is the third pick. When they put her name on the bracket, if you looked in the bottom right-hand corner, you saw that Ronda had already moved up into the semifinals.
That's on the show?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I was like, oh, Ronda wins. I can wonder how. I will sit and watch.
That's awesome.
Way to go, production team. Way to go.
They screw up every once.
That's
It's
the continuity guy.
Yeah.
It's like when they showed a guy who was still in the runnings get knocked out in the opening credits one time. That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome, yeah. That was fantastic. Oops.
So,
And you know what's really hard to find now is the clip of Dana White saying, "This isn't Survivor. We don't vote him off.
we beat him off.
fucking
beat
beat
him
him
off.
off.
Yeah.
Can't find that anywhere, man. Crazy."
So yeah, what do you think so far? I mean, who's your favorite going into this? I mean, we have the fighters. We have Carla Esparza, ranked 1 against Angela Hills, ranked 16. Beck Rawlings against Justine Kish.
I don't know that I have a
Asil
favorite.
Daly against Angela Magna, Jessa Pena, Lisa Ellis, Felice Herring, Heather Clark, which is going to be a story in itself because they fucking hate each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching Felice Herring just because of you. But
Rose Namajunas, which is now Pat Barry's fiance, not just girlfriend.
Oh, cool.
Alex Chambers, Joanne Calderwood, who is smoking hot Scottish broad, who I never even know who she is, and she's ranked number 2. And Emily Kagan.
You know, watching this, there's a few things that we know. I mean, obviously we know Ronda moved forward.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember because I watched it last night.
Trying to see if you can find spoilers.
No, not at all. I just watched it late. But we know, okay, somebody switches teams.
Yep.
We know that.
Yep.
We also know somebody gets sent home.
I can tell you about that because I follow Beck Rawlings on Instagram.
Okay.
Her family member passed away while
So,
she was there. That's why she's
why-
crying, and she got to go home for one day, or got to go, I think, for a day, possibly, for the service.
Okay, so that's the other thing I was going to say. And it looks like somebody gets some really bad news, like a family member died.
Yeah, I don't know if she got to leave, but I know that's why she was crying, and they had
Somebody
to pull,
fucking leaves.
when they had to pull her in.
Yeah, somebody leaves. I know somebody leaves the show.
Yeah.
So that would make sense if it's her if her family member did pass away.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like there's a few people in there I was interested in. Heather Clark has me really interested because she got her arm broke by Felice Herrig, and I want to see how this pans
And
out.
then they punched each other afterwards.
Yeah,
That was great.
Yeah, so that's interesting to me. Then there was the girl who lives in Thailand. Which one is she?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but she's got a very interesting look. She's got a very, very strong cheekbones and jawline and stuff, and I don't know, there was something very hypnotic about looking at her.
Uh-huh.
So she might be my favorite fighter on there.
I like Rose saying she likes to hurt people.
Yeah.
She's excited to hurt people.
Let's see. Okay, I'm not trying to say this to be offensive at all, but Emily Kagan, the one who was actually the 5th overall, but was picked last. Is it me, or does she look like she's going to have to make weight?
No. She's not Emily Kagan. You're talking about Alisa Daly.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're
Ceiling
right.
Daly, yeah. She's the Irish fighter who has one of the best records there and is ranked number 5. But yeah, she. I
mean, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but it looks like she's going to have to cut some weight more so than the other girls.
Yeah.
So
That's the one she's kind of built like a dude.
Yes.
She has the glasses, and she said she gave up on fighting for a year because she was depressed.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's an interesting cast. Like I said, though, I mean when they showed Tisha Torres,
yes,
like she was lightning fast.
Oh yeah, she won that first
lightning
round.
Fast.
Won that first round hands down, and then got dominated the second round.
Yeah, and she wasn't, but
she didn't do enough in the third.
And she still didn't look as quick as she did in practice at all. Plus, she just wasn't willing to really throw as much. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a very interesting season. We'll see what happens.
And then tomorrow. When's this going on? September 13th. Tomorrow on Fight Pass, we have Ultimate Fight Night 51 going down in Brazil. You have your main card, Jessica Arande up against Larissa Pacheco. Uriel Alcantara up against Russell Doan.
Is this bantamweight? I would like to say one thing. I think it's hilarious because we didn't know how the Ultimate Fighter was going down. So it was like they wanted to get some strawweight fighters in the UFC right away. So we've already had like 2 strawweight fights. And then you come to the show and it's like, well, you girls are the best. One of you is going to be the champ. So it's like, oh, the fucking other 4 that you signed with the UFC
the other 4
had no chance.
Well, that was the thing. The other 4 were supposed to be on the show, and they got yanked when they said one could barely speak English, one couldn't make weight, and
one was too young.
And so that's why they did the tryouts, was to fill in some of the other spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand. Got it.
But they were going to give them contracts anyway because they bought their contracts, and they said, you're going to get time to make weight, you're going to learn to speak English, and you're going to be old enough to fight. And she is old enough to fight. She's just old enough to drink, and that's part of the show. Right.
Oh, and that was the other thing that I saw. It looks like somebody gets alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, or just possibly passes out and has a seizure.
Well, and that could be easy too because they keep their moisture down
and they're
115 for weight, and then to come home and party with nothing but alcohol.
Good times.
Crazy.
You've never experienced that.
Santiago Ponzabibbo.
No, because I'm overweight, but I've
going against Wendell
like
Oliveira, Leonardo Santos against Efren Escarado, Gleason Tibau against Peter Hallman, and then of course the main event, Antonio Bigfoot Silva going up against Andre.
It's the same Bigfoot Silva we were just talking about having to have surgery.
Arlovsky. He will not have surgery until after this fight.
Yeah,
he's gonna lose.
That's what he said. So, running down this, I'm gonna take Arande, Alcantara, I'll take Ponzibibio. I'm definitely taking Santos. I'm gonna take Hallman, and I'm gonna take Silva.
Okay. Yeah, I got Andrade, Luriel Alcantara. I don't know who any of these 2 are.
So you're gonna skip those?
I'll go with Wendell. I like the name Wendell.
Okay.
Mr. Wendell. Efren Escudero. Effie.
Yeah, he's not that great.
That's Effie though. Gleason Tibau and Andre Arlovsky.
All right.
Those are my picks.
I'm saying Antonio Silva knockout.
You think he's gonna knock out Andre Arlovsky?
Yeah.
I think they're already making excuses for him.
A submission would be awesome. If Bigfoot can submit him.
If Bigfoot gets on top of him, Arlovsky's going nowhere.
That
is a man on top of a child. Every time he gets on top of anybody, it's a man on top of a child, and it's not fair. I mean, no one can lift an Easter Island head. We don't even know how they moved across that island. They just got there.
It was ropes. They walked them back and forth.
That's the theory, because nobody can prove it. Just like I don't know how Bigfoot walks.
You think you just have some weird man-child fetish, dude? I want to find a very large man to cradle me and make me feel safe.
No, I don't. It scares me.
So there you go. Fight Pass tomorrow night. If you want to order it, Fight Pass is what, $10 a month. So, booyah. There you go. Thanks for listening. Of course, pick us up on your Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Tell your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Or share our official website, which is splitdecisionmma.com. Facebook is Split Decision MMA Podcast. Twitter and Instagram, SD_MMA. And that's about it from the Ruloff Family Inc. Studios. It is Bueller and Dodge saying have a good night, and we'll see you at the fights.